Hello, everyone. So, I have a little bit of a different share for you today. And I probably won't do many videos on this, but it is a big part of what I'm doing now and something that I am offering and bringing to the world that well somebody else has brought it to the world. I'm just just a practitioner of it, but brand partner. But it's I find it's been incredibly helpful for me and some of my clients, and so I want to make sure I am sharing information about this generously. So I have provided a teaching video that will start shortly, and it is on a company called Lifewave. Lifewave makes the only stem cell regenerating stem cell therapy patch. It's just a little patch that I stick on the back of my neck, and they have some support patches which help with different things, inflammation, organ function. This is a phototherapy patch, and it is non-toxic, non-invasive, and incredibly affordable. Actually, in terms of when we talk about like stem cell, what those that can provide for us, stem cell technology in terms of healing and regenerating our body in miraculous ways. This is by far the most affordable way to do that. And so this is just a short introduction. There is a teaching video that will start shortly in a moment. And but I just wanted to give a quick intro to say that I wanted to pop this up on my channel just so that it's here and evergreen, and I can refer people to it and provide links and things like that. And for anybody who follows this channel and likes my information, I think you'll find this information and this education to be really beneficial and really awesome. And I hope that it can help you. Below in the caption, I will provide links on how to get in touch with me and how to order if you're interested. And stay tuned for the teaching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments or shoot me an email. I am happy to help in any way that I possibly can. And yeah, enjoy this educational video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Guys, I'm Selden Baylooney. Super excited to talk to you guys about these patches. Heard me talking about them a little bit on social media. Maybe you caught my crazy story, but I'm going to say it again. For some of the people who might receive this recording who don't know, I am a health practitioner. I specialize in autoimmune and chronic symptoms. I successfully reversed lupus via healthy diet and lifestyle changes and deep trauma and nervous system repair. And that is what I do now with my clients. I work a lot with energy in the quantum field and with the somatic body for releasing trauma and regulating the nervous system. So what I found, like client after client, I kind of had a repeating thing that so chronic fatigue was like my biggest symptom. And so you tend to kind of get clients that mimic like what you kind of were dealing with, right? So a lot of my clients are dealing with a lot of chronic fatigue and some chronic pain and sleep issues and things like that. And what I noticed was a lot of times, people want to do a healing protocol and they want to be consistent with a healing protocol, but they are stuck. We call this in the nervous system world the freeze response, and that is chronic fatigue. And so it's hard to like maintain a flow with this healthy diet and light. I mean, because healing does take some work, right? It requires work and some consistency and effort, and you have to have energy to do all these things. And it can also feel quite overwhelming. So I really, like, I wasn't
I wanted a tool. I wasn't actively searching for a tool necessarily, but I guess I kind of offered it to universe. Like, I feel like some of my clients really need just an extra something to help support them while they do their healing work. Cause I do still believe, I don't think any one product can take the place of a healthy diet, lifestyle, and, you know, moving through childhood trauma, if that's your issue. However, we need all the support we can get. And so Caroline, amazing Caroline, came to me, who's on the call today, is an old friend of mine and client, and back from my hairdressing world. Where'd Latoya go? And she said, you got to try these patches. You got to try these patches. So I tried these patches. I said, okay, let me try the X39. So I just tried the one stem cell patch, which is like the main patch. And we'll get into all this stuff in a minute. But she said, give it 30 days, 60 days, you know, really 60 to 90 days. But after 30 days, she checked in with me and she said, are you noticing anything? And I said, well, I'm sleeping really good. She is. I feel great, but I'm also actively doing a lot of other healing work. So I don't know. I can't really tell, but I did feel great. And I did notice my hair was like, I kind of started losing my hair at one point, I felt like, and I was like, oh, I do feel like that's kind of growing back. My nails are growing really fast, which is all kind of stem cell related things. And she said, you know, one thing I noticed was my gums. And I said, oh my God, you know, it's so weird. I have had sensitivity, cold and hot heat sensitivity in my gums for years. And now that I think about it, I haven't had that. And she said, yeah, the recession in my gums started to grow back. And I was like, I was going to have to get grafting. I was going to have to drop like $5,000 on grafting my gums. And I was like, hold on a second. And I went and looked in the mirror and my gums freaking grew back. I was shocked. I was like, this is crazy. Like my roots of my gums were visible and they weren't visible anymore in certain places. So then I go to my dentist and I was like, so how do my gums look? Like, I didn't say anything really, but she was like, whoa. She's like, what have you, she goes, have you been flossing? I'm like, I've been flossing, but that is not what did it. I was like, I'm doing these stem cell patches. Of course, she was like very skeptical, but we pulled up x-rays from my last time that I was with her. And it was a very noticeable difference. So noticeable that like she was shocked, beyond shocked. So that was the first thing that I was like, okay, so obviously I didn't do them because I wanted that wasn't my priority to have my gums grow back. But the whole thing is, if that's happening, then there's other things internally happening that like you can't see, right? And I do think in the end, my sleep, my energy, and all the things that I was noticing that it was feeling better was an accumulation of all the things I was doing, including the patches. So then just my other story, and I'll be quick, but was just recently I was skiing with my family, and I went over a thing of ice, and my leg, don't have great knees because I was a runner for years, and my knee twisted and it popped, and shooting like vibrations went down and throughout my leg. I was like, what? This cannot be good. And I was screaming, but it was the worst pain I've had in a very long, probably since I gave birth to my son. It was horrible. So they had to call the people to come escort me down the mountain. They had to like get a sled thing and get me down the mountain. It was like this whole traumatic thing. I couldn't walk on my leg. I started putting the patches on the leg. I just started some other patches at this time. So like for a while, I was just on the X39. Just recently, I started trying some of the other things. I put a couple of those patches on my leg. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened to my leg because I actually ended up not getting it checked out, but I'll just say that the paramedics thought it was possible that I tore a ligament. Like they were like, that is consistent. What you described is consistent with, and I couldn't bend my leg and I couldn't straighten it all the way either. And it was really painful. Basically, I put the patches on my knee, and basically in 2 days, I was like, pretty much fine. Like, you know, I was hopping around a little bit, but like 3 days, I mean, by the time we left, which was 4 days, like I got that happened on Saturday, we left on Tuesday, I was fine. Like I had no issue at all. So even if it was just a sprain, like even a sprain, people are out for I went for a run this morning. This was not even a week ago, y'all.
That's amazing.
I went for a run this morning. Anyway, so that those are my two stories. And there's one other thing I want to say, but let's get into some of the meat and potatoes of the patches. I'm going to change it over to Kathy. Kathy is my I don't know what do we call you? My sponsor, my
Your patch guru. I don't know.
Yeah, my patch guru. Exactly.
Captain O Patches.
Yeah.
So my name is Kathy Jacobson. My husband's medical company actually picked these, they do medical devices, and they picked these patches up over a year ago at the beginning of 2022. And at first, just like probably everyone, we're like skeptical, right? Like a patch is going to help. Well, there are a bunch of medical reps, so they sent them some patches for them to use personally so that they could understand it. And we didn't have pain. And that's that was the only thing we thought at first, that it was, oh, it helps with pain. Okay. We didn't really understand the full scope of what the patches are capable of and what the stem cell patch can do. And so anyways, we sent it to my brother with knee pain. My father-in-law walked with a cane and a back brace, and my dad with arthritis. And so within a month, all of them, well, actually with even one of them within like the first day, just even felt relief. My dad with arthritis at a month, I was like, are you, he's like, I can tell it's less pain. So I started asking questions like, are you taking Advil every day like you used to? He's like, no, I used to take Advil. I'm like, yes, a month ago, Dad, you took Advil. And my mom's like, yes, you took Advil at least twice a day, every day. People forget when they improve, they forget how bad sometimes it was. And my father-in-law, after a month, even after he was really fast, especially for being in his upper 70s, he didn't need his cane, his back brace anymore. He's been on it now 10 months, I think. And he doesn't have any back pain, but he didn't even have any back pain after like a month. He was really fast. Not everyone's that fast. But anyways, so we were like, wow, okay, this product's way more amazing than we thought. But then now over the last year, we've gotten to help different doctors and practitioners. And so probably thousands of thousands just in our small network of natural practitioners and doctors, chiropractors, med spas, we've gotten to hear results of thousands. But personally, we've had 300 personal clients ourselves that I'm one-on-one contact with. And pretty much 99% of people, like Selden was saying, within 2 months are seeing something. It may not be that their MS is gone, but what they're seeing is those things like more energy and better sleep. Those are the first two things that people always tell us. Is more energy and better sleep. And I can tell if someone hasn't worn them because pretty much they don't text me. I know if they're wearing them because within 2 weeks, they will text me and be like, wow, I feel better. I have more energy. And I know the people I need to follow up with. I'm like, you haven't been wearing them, haven't you? And they're like, oh, my life got crazy. I'm like, okay, you need, put them by your toothbrush. Because if they wear them, now we had a couple people with like really big knee pain. Those took longer, those were taking longer to see results. And it I'm going to show something here to you. And what you'll see is sometimes people will get on the patch because they want to help whatever health issue they're dealing with. And then they find that it helps their acid reflux is gone all of a sudden and that they've had for, 5 years. I had just yesterday, a client of mine called and she was like, I just left my endocrinologist. And this is the first time in 20 years they've told me I can reduce my thyroid medication. And she's only been on it 7 weeks. And so, she was getting on it just for other reasons, but you start to see other things that you didn't even imagine that this little bit,
like my gum.
Band-aid.
Like my gums too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to show you something and I want to, my host.
No, you're not hosting. I'm sorry. Let's see. Whoop. Hold on. Okay.
I first want to let some doctors, different doctors that we have pre-recorded, share just a little bit about the stem cell patch in general, about the technology, about the science of it, and even about the clinical trial. So I'm going to play some short, few minute videos of a couple different doctors for you to hear from, and then we'll kind of go into more, and we'll also go into, if you have more of these type of symptoms, this is the protocol you want to be on, and we'll get into that as well, and we'll also do Q&A. So let me share my screen real quick. Okay, perfect. So let me go up to the top. This is a website called startx39now.com. And this is a great website to just go learn more. If you're like trying to go and tell a friend or tell your husband, I just ordered these patches, but I forget all what they do. This is a great place to go back and be reminded of all, because you're going to be drinking from a water hose for the next 30 minutes as you learn about these. It's just phenomenal what they do. And so, but what I love is there's great videos at the top. But I'm going to scroll down here. It also has a section where it says what to expect in the first few days, what to expect in the first 3 months, what to expect if you're on it longer, like 6 to 12 months. And I do want to say going in real quick that, this is not something you have to do your whole life. Some people wear them until the issue they were dealing with, whether, whatever that is, whether it's GI issues or anxiety or sleep issues. And once that's resolved, some people stop wearing them. A lot of people, because it is so cheap just to keep on the maintenance of the stem cell patch, a lot of people, especially if they're 50 plus, stay on that patch at that point. But you don't have to. I don't want you to think this is, I have to do this for life, or I shouldn't do it at all. No, some people choose to go on it for a few months. Some people have, been on it for many years, because the longer you're on it, the more benefits, obviously, you see. The stem cell repair starts going to everything from your skin to your hair to, your wrinkles going away. But that's usually people see that a little bit longer after they've been on a while. So anyways, I'm going to take us down to a couple doctors I love here. And this is Dr. Don Verlhurst. He is an MD. He is, but he's a more natural approach MD. I love having our MDs on board because we have tons of natural practitioners, because, this is, there's no other ways to activate your own stem cells. You can go and get a $20,000 stem cell injection in Panama City if you want, and get some, get a rush of stem cells, but they're not going to be what's called pluripotent. Pluripotent means it gets your own stem cells to start reactivating itself. And you can't get that with anything. And so anyways, it's, but Dawn explains it well. I'm going to switch it. They're not, I have the tree guys, of course, are right outside my window. They're not sure. I'll just play for now, but if we hit a glitch, I'll switch it over to you. Does that sound good? Oh, you're muted.
I know. Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. I don't hear anything over there, by the way. I mean, you said they're not doing anything.
The background. Okay. Yeah, they're not grinding right now. If they start grinding, let me know. And then
okay.
Okay. So I'm going to play Dr. Don, and I'm going to kind of go a couple minutes in, and we're going to listen for about 4 minutes of Dr. Don Verlhurst. And he talks about how he, tries to do things more naturally. He tries to avoid pharmaceuticals if he can. That's his last resort. And what he's talking about, where we're starting is he's talking about that these patches are non-transdermal. So that's where he's going to start real quick.
We know what's happening physiologically in your body.
Hold on. Here we go.
Maybe familiar with, I'm sure you are, with dermal patches, things like an estrogen patch or a nicotine patch, where the patch is put on the body and transdermally, trans just means goes through, and dermal means the skin. It goes through the skin and puts nicotine or estrogen into your body. That's what people are familiar with. This is not that. The Lifewave patch is non-transdermal. What does that mean? What's going on when you put the patch on and nothing's getting in? What's happening? Well, there's a lot happening, and it's happening to support your body getting and staying healthy. What's happening is you give off infrared light. We're all light beings, and infrared is basically below the level that we can see, but it's heat energy, and you're constantly giving that off. It's the reason we can see each other with night vision glasses, even though there's no light. If you have infrared glasses, you pick up the infrared off people. So we're constantly giving that off. Well, our inventor, David Schmidt, he had some technology that he came up with, which is phenomenal, to trap this infrared energy that we're giving off. And that is what the patch does. So when you put the patch on anywhere on your body, I mean, I put my X39 on the back of my neck, and I wear my Eon below my belly button daily and consistently, but it'll work anywhere on the body. We have clinical studies where we put it in those areas, so we know those are consistent areas you can use them and get results. But when you put it on, what it does is picks up that energy from your body, that infrared, and the matrix of organic amino acids and sugars and salts, the proprietary business of the patch, creates from the infrared energy of your own body, creates very specific wavelengths of light that are reflected back into your body and have very specific physiologic effects. Now, this may sound really different to people, and it is smart technology. I love to call the patch smart technology because it knows what to do and where to go in your body, sometimes better than what you do. You may be struggling with something and you start patching to see if it's going to work on that, and it starts working on something else. That's part of the smart technology of this patch, that it goes to where it needs to go. But what happens is that infrared from your body makes these specific, when it reflects off the patch, it makes specific wavelengths of light that do things physiologically in your body. In the case of the X39, which is really the basic patch we're going to be talking about today, there are several other patches that you need to know about and hear about and enjoy the benefits of. But the X39 is really the foundational patch, because what happens is your body creates an increase in a peptide called GHK copper peptide. Now, that peptide is well known to activate and to stimulate stem cell pathways in your body. This is something brand new, something no one else has. It's very unique and exclusive to Lifewave, which is important when you're helping people to have something that's unique. And when you increase that GHK copper peptide, you open those stem cell pathways and you reactivate them, re-energize them. People have heard of stem cells, most people, maybe not everyone, but they're very positive about stem cells, as they should be. Stem cells are wonderful. They can be game-changing and life-changing. But the problem is they can also be very, very expensive. You can spend thousands, $20,000, $30,000 for treatments of stem cells, and then you're not really sure if things are going to happen or not. And these can be injections, and you've got contamination potential, all kinds of potential issues, versus this patch. When nothing's going in, it's just stimulating your own body to reactivate those stem cell pathways. And you may not know it, but by the time you're 35, and that gets there pretty quickly for most of us on this call, I think we'll agree, your stem cell activity can be down by as much as 50%. And then just by the time you're 60, it can be down by 90%. So you've lost a lot of the activity of those stem cells. And stem cells are what rejuvenate and replenish and renew and restore your bodies. It's the reason that little children don't have the backache that some of us older people may have, or have problems sleeping, or have issues with their cardiovascular system, or whatever it may be. The degenerative diseases, I like to call them, the diseases of aging. Why do those happen to older people? Well, they don't have the stem cell activity that you do when you're younger. So the cells of your body get old, but the stem cells renew and restore that energy and vitality. And so that's what's going on when you put on a patch. Now, we know this is happening because there are multiple dozens of clinical studies that we have that show this. The patch, David worked on this patch for over 10 years and spent millions of dollars to study this some double-blind placebo studies, so we know what's happening. But one thing I really want to encourage you today, and I want you to remember about this patching technology, is that when you put it on, it goes to work immediately to open up these stem cell pathways. And actually, a third of the genome is changed. It actually can work at the level of the genes to restore and rejuvenate your genes to a healthy, more youthful situation. So that's happening for sure. Now, do you feel that immediately? Not always. Sometimes people do. It's wonderful when that happens. When someone puts a patch on and immediately they have a benefit. Of course, we love that. But what I want you to keep in mind is that even if you don't feel anything, it is happening. We know what's happening clinically. We know what's happening physiologically in your body. So my recommendation for you, strong recommendation, is you stay consistent with the patching. In fact, David recommends that you patch at least for a month for every decade that you've been alive. So if you're in your 60s, you need to patch for 6 months consistently to find out what's really going to happen in your body. And we found that sometimes the people who have results a little bit later in their patching can be very phenomenal and sustaining results. So one thing we really want to emphasize is not giving up. When you start patching, stay consistent with your patching. I've been just amazed, and I'm sure you are too, and you will be if you haven't seen all of these different testimonies at helping the body to get and stay younger naturally. And so,
okay, I'm going to stop there on him. You can always go back and you can go to Start X39 now yourself. And we stopped at the 9-minute mark, and you can always, he has a few more minutes if you want to go and listen to the rest of Dr. MD Verhulst. Anyways, I want to share just like a minute of also a cardiologist, Dr. Lopez, and share a little bit. And can you see my screen? Yes, I think so. I am going to point a couple other doctors out on here that you can also go listen to that I love to. Dr. Patty out of California, San Clemente, California here. It's this cute lady right here with the little flower in her hair. She has MS, and she got into these patches because of her own MS and had great success in reducing. She had a lot of body pain, so it was hard for her to sleep. I'll kind of go into that protocol and a little bit of what she wore. But she talks about some of that and talks about a lot of her clients that use, she's an MD too, but she's very on the naturalistic side. And so she shares a lot about her story and her client story. Dr. Harmon here, the bottom left-hand corner, Dr. Harmon here. He is a chiropractor, but he's really so much more. He has for the last 20 years has focused on doing, he does EEG brain studies. And so he actually gets to see what the brain is doing and how the brain changes when it's on the stem cell patch, and see before and afters, which is awesome. But his own personal story, he had a ton of GI issues. It took him 2.5 months to see a major change, not just the beginning of the change, but start to see a real major change in his GI issues. Kind of one of those things. He was hoping it would be on, week number 2 or 3 or 4. And it took till the 2.5 month mark for her to start to see big results on his GI changes. But along the way, he noticed more energy and a little bit deeper sleep and all these other things along the way that kept him, encouraged him to keep going. But he's great to talk about. He also had a right bundle heart blockage that he went back for a 6-month checkup and it was gone. Anyway, so he is a great one to listen to if you wanted to watch him. And then, well, there's lots of great ones, but let me play just a little bit of Dr. Lopez, the cardiologist. So let me start quick. So I'm going to just let you hear him explain himself real quick.
I've been a cardiologist, as Dr. Stacy said, for about 40 years. I was an interventional cardiologist, and for the last 5 years, I became a clinical cardiologist. I'm very proud of it. I love what I do, and I live for my patients and the health of my patients. And I was introduced to the...
Okay, so I'm going to skip around a little bit to show you little different clips that I want you to hear of this cardiologist. You can always go back and listen to the full amount later. So here he's going to talk a little bit about his cardio patients.
Bring any medicines to your body, to your system. So that's the number one thing that I want to say is this is just an incredible technology, and it does work. I usually start with the X39 patches, and believe it or not, most of my patients that come to a cardiology office, most of their symptoms are musculoskeletal, believe it or not. A lot of them also complain of tiredness, of fatigue, of not being able to breathe well, etc. But we know that the patches, the X39, improves, gives you vitality, energy, activates the stem cells. So the X49 as well. The Aeon patches regulates your autonomic nervous system, where the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system become more in tune with, more balanced with one another, so it can regulate your heart rate and other systems. These patches also lower your fibrinogen levels, also decreasing the viscosity of the blood, the thickness of the blood, and making you less prone to having heart attacks and strokes. That's an impressive quality of the Aeon patch.
What he was just saying, just to kind of share, he was saying the fibrinogen. So fibrinogen is a when you get blood work done, you probably don't, well, you might, especially if you have autoimmune, you might be getting some sort of what am I saying? Some sort of inflammation marker. Sorry, lost my brain of thought. Some sort of inflammation marker. Fibrinogen is one of them, but more commonly what I typically hear from my clients and what one of my other MDs up in Iowa, Dr. Pierce, does, is she always does a CRP. It's the C-reactive protein. It's an inflammation marker. And so she pretty much does that before people get on the patch and 2 months after they're on the patch. And she says every time she sees their inflammation markers come down. And she's like, you want to be, I think she said under 5 on like CRP. And she had clients up in the 20s and 30s. And she said 2 months later, they'd be down to 7, going from 30 to 7. Like, she's like, there is not even a drug in this world that I can give a client for that to happen, and of course those have all the side effects. We don't want them on that if they don't have to be. But she's like, for someone to be on something that's so natural for 2 months and has no side effects, she's like, that's insane. So anyways, I just wanted to point out what he was saying, the fibrinogen. I didn't know about that inflammation marker, but he taught me about that. Okay. And so that Aeon patch, and we'll get into this more in a little bit, that one is like, no one wants to be on the stem cell patch without being on this Aeon patch that this is Dr. Stacy on the left that she's showing. The Aeon patch is clinically proven, and I have felt it on myself, and I've seen it on every client that had anything from autoimmune to pain to joint issues, all of that. If there's any type of inflammation in the body, which pretty much in the world we live today, we all have it, unless you live super remote and spend all your time, even that, we all have inflammation. And so to be able, I will share this little fact that a lot of doctors have shared with me. If you've ever looked into stem cell injections, doctors will tell you that whether it's 15 grand or 20 grand, that about 80% of those stem cells are going to deal with inflammation in your body. And so only 20, maybe 30% of those stem cells, of that 20 grand of stem cells, only 20 or 30% actually get to go and do that root cellular healing that you want it to do. And so if you can reduce your inflammation, which is what this Aeon patch does, then that stem cell patch can work so much better and so much faster, time and time again. So we don't even let anyone order without the Aeon unless they're totally healthy and just doing it preventatively. Like that one is so important and powerful to go together with them. I'm going to play just a little bit something else of Dr. Lopez talking about Parkinson's and a carnosine patch that we'll get more into too. That's real powerful for the nervous system and neurological system.
But so far, the experience has been incredible. I have patients who have Parkinson's and neurological disorders. I'm already helping them. The cognitive improvement in patients has been incredible as well. Their activity level, their strength, their optimism, the less pain, the being more up and not depressed. It's just incredible. It's an incredible array of symptoms
Okay, I'm going to skip over to where he talks a little bit about spine and bone real quick. Only a couple seconds here.
If we do that, we should not have to worry very much about fibrinogen. Yeah, I mean, it's like these patches have turned my life around. I mean, we're starting from lumbar radiculopathy to left hip osteoarthritis to cervical spine disc problems to carpal tunnel to plantar fasciitis, GERD, and it's all went away. It all went away 90% from day one. A couple of more things that have been stated in some of the testimonials in all the different podcasts is I have been gray, God knows for how long. Believe it or not, my hair is starting to turn black again. I cannot believe it. I mean, I have black hair coming out. It's incredible.
He sent an up close picture. You can't really see it in the Zoom, but he did send like an up close picture to a group in a Zoom in the chat, and it was like a Zoom. You could see the little streaks because in the Zoom I'm like, we can't see that. But Dr. Harmon, that other doctor, let me stop the share for a minute. That other doctor I was pointing right here, is it no? Oh, in the doctor testimonials, he had the same scenario where about at the 1 year mark of being on the patch or 10 months, he started growing back brown hair back here, and it slowly started growing forward, and he's almost totally brunette again, like he was, and he's almost 70. And if you look at a picture of Dr. Harmon from 2 years ago when he started it, and now he looks like 20 years younger. It's crazy. But anyways, okay. So I want to share a couple other things. I want to show you a very quick, what time are we at? Let me move quickly here because I want to be able to also answer your questions. I'm going to show you a quick, they've done over 100 clinical trials now. It'd probably be like 200 or 300 if it weren't for COVID. But no matter where they were in clinical trials during COVID, they had to be stopped. So even if they only had a few days left, that trial was a waste of money and it didn't happen, which is so sad. They just started back some of those clinical trials, which you would have thought it would have started sooner, but they just started those back up. Anyways, this clinical trial, it's a little fact sheet. I just want to share real quick. I love this fact sheet because these clinical trials, some of the clinical trials they did over a 6-month period or a 2-month or 3-month period. These clinical trials were done, and they have those too with the stem cell patch. I'm going to talk specifically about that. It's called X39. It's the stem cell patch. This company has been around for over 20 years when he's come up with different patches. Even the very first patch he came up with, which increases people's energy and also burns fat with that, because it triggers a peptide that does that. And even that patch, over 300 Olympians in the 2008 Olympics were wearing his patch because it would help them get better time without a drug or a supplement or anything illegal. And so Michael Phelps and other people were wearing it. But anyways, just a point to say, this phototherapy isn't new. It's not a new technology. It's been around a long time. Being the patches and they're patented, so no one else can make something. So if you see a patch in the grocery store that says pain relief or whatever, it is probably putting acetaminophen or Advil or something else that's hurt your liver or kidneys into your body. There's no one else can make these. But the X39 patch came about 3.5 years ago. The X39 patch came out. They've been working on it for 10 years, and they figured what combination of crystallized amino acids embedded into this patch would trigger what's called the GHK copper peptide. And GHK copper peptide was only discovered about 50 years ago by Dr. Picard. And then he, totally separate from our company, has nothing to do with our company, started doing clinical trials himself, seeing how it was reducing colon cancer, seeing how it was all these amazing things. And so basically what they've also proven, what I'm going to show you here, is if you can increase your GHK copper peptide, which is the peptide this patch triggers, you're increasing your stem cell production. So these clinical trials were done in a 1-week trial, which is pretty cool to see what can happen in 1 week. In 1 week, and it's showing 3 different tests here. The very bottom one was the very first test they did. That was that they were proving that this patch actually increased the GHK copper peptide. And it was within 24 hours, they were having a significant increase. 7 days, still a significant increase. To be able to say something is proven, it has to be what's called significant or highly significant or something above just significant. So to be able to say it's proven, that's why if it says it's significant, or we even note if it's nearly significant, because that's so close. But I just wanted to point that out. To be able to say it's significant is a huge statement to be able to make. And so in 24 hours to be able to increase your GHK copper is insane. It's amazing. And so here's what they were seeing as a result of that. They were seeing amino acids increase. In one study, it was 13 amino acids improve and change at a significant level. In another study, it was 8 amino acids. They were seeing in 7 days that short-term memory was improving significantly. Short-term memory, which is why I've seen my clients put on their Alzheimer's patient, put the patches, and within minutes or hours, them actually being able to talk more and sit up more. And so anyways, that short-term memory is huge. The same reason people are like, I feel like I don't have as much brain fog with all this patch. A lot of people notice that in the first month. Same reason. It is, those stem cells are going wherever. A lot of your heart and your brain and your major organs. It may not be your ankle you want to get fixed. It might not be your gut at first, although I would bet that would be one of the first things, because our immune is in our gut. But so anyways, those things are, it might be going to your brain before your gut is my whole point. But the quality of sleep improved within 24 hours. Vitality and energy improved. Blood pressure. This is huge because this is numbers. You can't say, oh, I feel better. This is straight numbers. Blood pressure improved at a significant level in 7 days. I have people all the time tell me, like at a month or even the 2-month mark, that they've gone back to their doctor and their blood pressure is down. Now, I will say, if anyone is taking blood pressure medication and your blood pressure is now normal because of the medication, you're not going to see a change because it's already normal. You would, and I'm not encouraging anyone to change their prescriptions. You need to talk to your doctor, of course. But if you want to see that change and you're at normal, but you're taking blood pressure medication, you would need to talk to your doctor about maybe lowering your blood pressure medication after, let's say 3 months of being on the patches, and seeing how your blood pressure does, because you might be able to reduce that medication. But you talk to your doctor on that. Muscle relaxation improved. Next one's a big one. Heart rate variability. We all have some variability with our heart. The heart rate in 7 days showed significant improvement. That's huge. And this other one, depth of respiration at near 7 days showed. So I had a client with low oxygen in the 80s, and everything else he was great health with. It was really weird that one. But COVID did a lot of crazy things for people, and so he was like, it drove him crazy that his oxygen was so low, and he would fly to Colorado to see his family and have to stay in a hotel because he couldn't drive up the other 2,000 higher up miles to higher elevation to see them. Because anyways, took him 2 months, but he felt better during the 2 months, but his oxygen didn't show until about the 2-month mark. All of a sudden, it just started jumping up to the upper 90s. And then after a week, it stayed there. But depth of pressure. People tell me all the time, like, I used to be out of breath playing with my grandkids or just, running, and now I'm not. So those things are huge with the X39 stem cell patch. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to show this patch sheet of the different patches, and I'm going to talk about if you have autoimmune, what I recommend in the most used patches. So let me share this sheet real quick with you. This is, and Selden will send this to you, or can send this to you. This is a great little short recap of each patch, and I'm going to show you the most important one. So we just have been talking mainly about the X39 stem cell patch here, the top left-hand corner. Okay. That's the one that's literally activating your GHK copper peptide, which is increasing your stem cell production. The next two patches right below that are called glutathione and AION, if you can see them right there. Do I need to zoom in a little bit? Those trifecta of those three patches, everyone should be on those three, no matter what their heart issue is, health issue is. If they have heart issues, they might also want to be on another patch. But that trifecta of those three, and when I talk about being on 3 patches, I'm not talking about being on 3 patches for life. I'm talking about being on these 3 patches until you see some changes in what you're looking for. And then a lot of people drop back. And just to give you an idea on pricing, it's just so cheap. So like being on those 3 patches for 3 months is about $500 for a 3-month protocol. $500 for all 3 months, not $500 a month. Like so incredibly affordable. And then what most people do is after that, for about $100 a month, you're getting the wholesale pricing at that point. For $100 a month, you can stay on this, just the stem cell patch. So a lot of people see results after month 3, major results around month 3. Some major ones need to be till, the 6-month marker, especially if, you're in your 60s or 70s. Some of the things you want to improve might, take some of those extra months. So you might plan for the 6 months. But anyways, my whole point is you don't have to be on all the patches we're recommending for you the whole time. It's just, you're going to use multiple patches to get results quicker. So like, for example, the Aeon we were talking about a few minutes ago with the cardiologist. Aeon here, if you can see this one, no, I can't, I should have gotten the circler out. But this Aeon patch here in the middle, it's got the, okay, good. This one is the one that helps reduce your inflammation. And if you can reduce that inflammation and that cortisol and that stress level, then, and it also helps regulate hormonal production. That one and nervous system, if that one is you're lowering, then that stem cell patch is working so much better and faster for you. At the very beginning, we let some people just do the stem cell patch, but we noticed it was taking longer for them to see results than the people that did the whole protocol we recommended. So now I don't let anyone order without the trifecta. So then the other one is glutathione. Glutathione is master antioxidant, and you have it in your body. It is huge at detoxifying. But what happens with people is over time, just like your cells aren't as strong as they replicate, your stomach lining replicates every 9 days, but it is not as strong as it was 20 years ago. Those cells just keep getting weaker. Same as your stem cell production declines, your glutathione levels decrease. And so you don't have that ability to detox near as much now in your older years as you did your 20s. And so increasing glutathione is huge. I took glutathione before I even knew about these patches. Back in early COVID, I was taking glutathione because you hear great things about it. The problem is glutathione has a half-life of 7 minutes. So if you go get a $400 IV drip or you take a glutathione supplement, it is out of your body so quickly. If you can increase what they've shown in clinical trials and what we see, why people feel better after just 2 months on the glutathione, is that it is literally increasing your glutathione by 300%. 300% is a huge increase to do. And it's increasing that all day long. So as opposed to going and getting a $400 IV drip and it being increased in 30 minutes later, it's out of your body. This is increasing it all day long. So it's pulling out heavy metals. They showed that in clinical trials. It's why it's, why people feel better. It's pulling out toxins. It's pulling out bacteria and fungus and mold in our bodies and doing a lot of great things. So those 3 are super powerful with autoimmune and with pain, with arthritis, any of those issues. If you also, he was talking a little bit, I don't know if Dr. Lopez didn't mention carnosine, but because I skipped through some of it, in some of it, he also recommends carnosine with his clients, this one on the right. Carnosine helps with the neurological system. So if you have hand tremors, headaches, migraines, things going on with the nervous system, I recommend even just ordering 1 month of this, because carnosine actually stays in your body longer than some of the other peptides. And so you only need to wear carnosine every other day. I don't think we said, but all of these patches, when you get a supply, you're getting a 30-day, 30 patches in that envelope. So with X39, glutathione, Aeon, it's a 30-day supply in each envelope. And like we said, the $500 protocol is covering you for 3 months. So you're getting like 3 of the stem cell, 3 of the Aeon, and 2 of the glutathione in that package. And so it's covering you basically for that 3 months. Carnosine, if you just add that one envelope in, you're going to get, it's going to be really last you for 2 months because carnosine stays longer in your body. And that's going to help kind of like that neurological system. Selden or I can kind of help you figure out if we should add that in for you. There's 2 other patches. Maybe if you have most people with autoimmune have inflammation and they have pain. It's part of the whole deal, unfortunately. And so this patch, Lifewave, this gray one right here, it does no healing, but on about 90-95% of clients, it will reduce your pain or take your pain away immediately. So again, it's not the healing ones. All those other ones we're talking about are doing the heal. That trifecta is doing the healing. But this one, if you don't want to take an Advil, if you just need to be more productive, if you're having a hard time getting out of bed, doing the things you need to do, Icewave is a great alternative to Advil. And so you're putting it on the pain spot. So Dr. Patty, with her MS, she doesn't have to do it anymore, but she would put actually two patches. She had full body pain, as a lot do with that issue. And so she was putting a set of Icewave patches on the top of her shoulders, at the bottom of her feet. It literally blocks the pain signal, the nerve from telling you you're in pain. Again, it's not the healing, but you miraculously all of a sudden feel decreased pain or no pain. Migraines, you can put them right here on your head. Anyways, so that Icewave might be something that you want to add in, and it's not something you're going to use long-term either. This is something really short-term until the stem cell patch, the AON patch, and the glutathione start doing that healing, and you start to see and feel less pain as your inflammation goes down, and as you do real cellular healing. And so as you see that cellular healing, you don't need the Icewave so much. So sometimes people just get, a month's supply of the Icewave to start. Okay, so those are the main ones I did want to talk. I know energy is a low, a lot of people have low energy just in life, especially if you have autoimmune issues. The energy enhancer patch, you can talk to Selden if you think it's free, if you really want to try it, especially if you are trying to lose weight. It is part of the weight loss protocol. But I don't recommend you start with it, because just wearing the patches that do the healing are going to increase your energy. And I want you to feel that and know it's the healing that's helping you have more energy, not something that's increasing your beta oxidation that's giving you that energy. And so, but if you're like, I've got to have more energy like ASAP, then, maybe you do that for a month or 15 days, or just when you need it. But most people don't need it because they start to see it within a month. They start to see more energy. So I just wanted to point that out, and why you may not use it. Did I miss anything, Selden, that I should be hitting on?
No, I think you did great. I'm always a little bit curious about that. I haven't heard much about that X49. I don't hear you talk about it much. I have another client who was supposed to be on this call, but she might show up to the 6 p.m. call, who said she heard a doctor talking about that her autoimmune protocol included the X49, which I thought was interesting. X39, X49, AON, and glutathione was her protocol. Yes. So I just thought that was interesting. Maybe it depends, right, on what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. So X49 is actually another patch that activates I'll explain the difference. And I don't want to get people too confused. So kind of keep this one separate. But I recommend, and our practitioners recommend X49 for certain people that are major athletes, that are working out a lot, trainers, athletes, if you're competing, people that have heart issues or brain issues. So whether it's dementia, Alzheimer's, things going on with your brain, or even if you have I have a client that got on the protocol we talked about plus carnosine because she's legally blind. And on that protocol, without X49, she is starting to see more light. She has to wear sunglasses when she's outside now. It's still fuzzy, but she's getting more light into her vision, which is insane. But she has a history in her family of Alzheimer's. And so she wants to be preventive. So she's like, I want to be on the X49, no question. So she started doing the X49. So those with anything, and the reason I say heart and brain is because, and those that work out, is because X49 activates a different peptide. It came out about, I guess, probably 2 years now, a year and a half, 2 years now. It activates the AHK copper peptide. And that peptide isn't necessarily found throughout your entire body. It's found specifically in muscles. So your biggest muscles are your heart and your brain, your eyes are muscles, so that's why, because it's found in muscles specifically. And it's harder to, you do a blood test, you can see if you've increased your GHK copper, bam, you can see in one day, your GH copper went up. That's the X39. The X49, the AHK copper peptide is harder to see because it's in those muscles. So it doesn't show up in the blood work as much. But but yes, if you have heart issues, cardiovascular, cognitive issues, performance, strength, stamina, things you want to work on. Also, there was a clinical trial, a few of them that done on bone density, and they were showing that it was near significance on increasing bone density. So it's kind of separate from the muscle thing we're doing, but it was showing that. So if you're wanting to increase your muscles, or lean muscle mass, or lose weight, it's part of the weight loss protocol. Because if you're increasing your lean muscle mass, you're burning more fat. And so we see clients. So it's also, that's another person I would recommend it for.
Yeah. What about blood pressure?
What?
Would you recommend X49 for someone that has like blood pressure issues?
They're going to see, without X49, everyone that I've talked to has seen results with the X39, the glutathione, and the AON.
Yeah. Okay.
With those alone, if you can do if you can afford the extra, a little bit extra in there and do the X49, absolutely do it, without a doubt. But if people are watching their money, then stick with the $500 protocol.
Yeah.
Still going to see results. But yes, if they have heart issues, basically heart issues, brain issues, any of the things we talked about are just, they're like, no, I want to see results quicker, as quick as possible. And they want to get on all four. Basically, all four is going to make it a 2-month protocol. It still would be $500, but it would be a 2-month protocol instead of 3 months, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Yeah.
I want to show something because Selden, real quick, and then Selden's probably either sent this out or going to be sending this out. And so this is kind of the order form. I know when you see it, it's overwhelming, but I want us to just focus on one line. Let's look at pain and anxiety, or pain and let's say we're going to look at GI, blood sugar, and thyroid here. It's the fourth one down in gray. If you were to do retail, it would cost you $310 just for a 1-month supply on retail. But Selden is getting you the wholesale price. She's giving you the same pricing that she pays and that our doctors and practitioners pay. So you're getting that wholesale pricing when we're talking about that $500 3-month supply, because normally that would be over $900 to get that 3-month supply retail wise. So she's giving you that wholesale. So it's 3 months, the $500 protocol. And then it's going to automatically put you to go on the X39 auto ship at month 4. But you can cancel it, you can stop it. You don't have to get the auto ship. That's not a problem. But it just automatically does that because it's kind of, it's giving you basically the wholesale practitioner partner pricing. And then you can change it. Usually at the 3-month mark, people are, people call me up and ask, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. Great here. But I still want to stay on the AON. I still want to make sure I'm getting my inflammation down for another month or so. Or they're like, gosh, I'm feeling so great. Let's just go with the stem cell patch now and keep going with that. And that's just $100 a month moving forward. So that's what that line kind of is showing you. Let's say you have pain. Let's say you have autoimmune or GI issues, but you want to add in the sleep patch. Just, so we can add in the Nirvana and the Silent Night sleep patch into that protocol. So Selden, why don't you talk about if you want to stay on now and ask questions now, right?
So I wanted to say I wanted to just mention one thing about the ordering more than just the X39. So I'll just take a teaching opportunity, a short teaching opportunity for a moment. So I always teach about how we are always going through these cycles, right? When we have autoimmune, or even 2 people on the call right now aren't technically diagnosed with, but we're having any kind of chronic symptoms. People are always like, I don't have chronic symptoms, but then they don't sleep and they have anxiety. We talked about this, Catherine. They have all this stuff, right? Energy and depression and all the things, right? So we might have, for those of us who are sometimes our symptoms are feeling so heavy that they're debilitating, or we are having a hard time functioning. We are having big dips in those ebbs and flows, right? Our flows might be all right, but then we have those dips. So for me, when I started the X39, I saw improvements and I was good for a while. But then I just recently had a dip where like I wasn't sleeping well and some other things happened. And I wished you guys that I had some of these other patches on board when that happened. Like, you know what I mean? Because we don't always know, like I'll call them a flare for lack of a better word, even if you don't have autoimmune, like you're still experiencing some sort of flare in your system, right? We're not always the same all the time. So
I want to say, Selden, with that, like I had, with the time change a month ago, clients would be like, oh, I was doing, anyone, even people aren't on the patches. Like I was doing great. And all of a sudden I'm not sleeping good because of the time change. So I just want to point out I've heard a lot, even people aren't on the patches with.
Exactly. Sorry, my UPS guy came and my dog's now freaking out. Anyway, so I just wanted to say, I wished that I had extra support for when that dip was happening. So we don't always know when that's going to happen, right? And it happened actually when the time change happened and some other things and whatever. So I just wanted to say that I highly recommend doing more to start.
And I didn't say this, but I do want to chime in one thing. I meant to say it earlier, or maybe I did, but the patches are 12 hours on, 12 hours off. All of the patches. So you wear them, most of them, a lot of people wear during the day, unless it's a sleep issue. You're wearing them, let's say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then you take them off, put them by your toothbrush so that you remember, put them by your bedside table. Except for the sleep patch. The sleep patch, you put on 30 minutes before bedtime, take it off when you wake up. So that might be 8 hours, might be 9 hours, might be whatever your sleep is. I just wanted to make sure for that. And the other most important thing that you can do besides getting these patches on your body is drinking water. And I'm sure Selden talks about that. And she has lots of other great tips about, what you can put in your water too, to help your body absorb it more that you don't talk about later. But water is so crucial. You are, even without the glutathione detox patch, even without that one, you are kicking out dead cells. You are kicking out toxins, especially when you add in glutathione. You're kicking out toxins, just like if you go get a massage and they tell you drink a lot of water today because they've stirred up toxins. You've got to get it out. And so drinking water, and Selden can give a different number, but at least half your body weight in ounces. If you're 150 pounds, think 75 ounces. You want to be drinking that water. I had a couple clients that called me like on day 1 or 2 of the patch, and they were like, I've got a headache. Someone else said they were nauseous. And I was like, have you been drinking water? And every single one of those, like 3 or 4 people were like, oh, I don't know if I've had any today. I'm like, okay, take your patch off, go drink a bunch of water, start again tomorrow when you're hydrated, Yeah. Just because it's kicking out those dead cells and toxins so that it can make room for the new cells. And you can't use cells if you're dehydrated. So that's why another reason water is crucial.
Awesome. So I want to answer some questions.
Well, I hope that you guys made it through that education and that info. And I hope that you have questions and that maybe you're interested in learning more. If you do, please reach out to me or leave a comment below. I did cut the video off quite abruptly because I wanted to protect the privacy of some of my clients that were asking questions and things at the end. And some of those questions actually included, can you mix and match different protocols for different patches? And yes, you absolutely can. Another thing that I wanted to mention is for myself, I stay on X39 and Aeon all the time. I keep those 2 in my cycle pretty much every day, constantly. I love doing the skin patch at night. So I sleep in that one, the Alavita. And then the other support patches, I rotate because I have a budget and because I don't want to be wearing 5 patches all the time. But I also want to see some benefits of some of the other patches. So for instance, Silent Nights and Icewave, which is the sleep patch and the pain patch, I keep those on hand. I don't take them every night. I take it, I bring Silent Nights with me when I travel, or if I'm on my cycle and I'm having a hard time going to sleep, then I'll use that one. And Icewave has been a miracle for my son's growing pains because he has really bad foot and leg pain every once in a while. And it's actually the only time I've reverted to for him to take ibuprofen in the past, and I don't have to do that anymore. So my daughter had a virus recently where she had a headache, just constant headache. Really strong time tea, I want to say, is like extremely helpful. She's like always like, oh my God, I can't believe that took away my headache. That usually does the trick. However, body aches and pains and different things, Icewave is awesome to have on board, especially if you're a mother. In terms of the other support patches, carnosine, which is heart, brain, organ function, I will take 2 months of that every, couple times a year. Glutathione, I don't take all the time anymore. I obviously have a really strong detox protocol where I sauna often, but I will bring glutathione in and I will do a round of it, 1 month round of it every few months. So again, I keep some of the patches on rotation, so that I'm reaping benefits, but it's also easier on my wallet, and I'm not keeping in, 5 patches all the time, just because it's just a lot, and I want to do that. So I can adjust a protocol to suit your needs, your personal needs, your health needs, and your budget needs. Okay, so keep that in mind. I will provide all the info that you need, again, down in the comments below or in the caption. And I hope this video found you well. I know it was long, but hopefully you got through it and you learned a lot. Okay, see you soon.